I got this magazine on loan for a weekend for copying a couple of patterns. Here are all the styles that are in this magazine, and the one I primarily was interested in is this one, but there's also pants for the outfit. There's a bigger photo later in the magazine. There's always photos with a model showing the outfit, like here, as soon as I can get the picture in the correct place. Yeah, so it's the vest, and then there are those pants, which really, it's more like a skirt than pants. I mean, if you're standing straight, nobody can say it's pants. It'll look like a skirt. As I lost the audio for this clip, I don't remember what I was talking about after this point, so I'm just going to cut it here and jump right into the patterns and what to do with them. So this is pattern sheet C, and it's blue lines. So for example, this here is one of the pieces I need, and here you can see blue lines, and it really looks like a mess, but once you find one part of the line you need and then you just follow that line, it's actually quite easy to copy these patterns. And in this case, it's in here, it shows like that is 40, so I need to find blue lines that are like this, and those are the ones I need to copy. For example, see in here it would be, yeah, that middle line. Yeah, as well as in here. Yeah, so it's the middle line in all of these pieces. And I think I'm going to make a time lapse of copying these patterns, because that's going to take some time. Here I am copying the pattern onto pattern paper. I'm using a felt tip pen just to make these lines show on the video. Usually I'm using a pencil, but I don't think it would have shown clearly enough here. And I recorded this one photo per second and then slowed down the playback a bit so you can see what I'm doing. And somewhere in this video I made a mistake as I was copying a new piece. I started following the wrong line, and I was going to copy a longer piece, and then I chose the wrong line and I cut a pocket instead. It was still part that I needed, but I wasn't going to put it at that part of the paper, and it's one of the reasons why I ran out of paper later in copying these pieces. And the text you can see me writing there on these pieces, it's just the issue of the magazine and the number of the pattern, so I'll know later where it came from. And yeah, this is the part where I went wrong. I wasn't going to copy that pocket. I was going to copy this longer piece. I'm tracing here, but I decided to trace the pocket entirely because otherwise I would have gotten extra lines in that longer piece and that would have been confusing. So here are the last pieces, and it didn't waste too much paper. So the time-lapse sequence was for making the vest pattern, and after that I made the pants pattern, and with this I ran out of paper. Fortunately this is the last piece, but I didn't have quite enough paper, and when that happens you can just add leftover pieces. Like I cut these off from the other pieces, the extra parts, and glued them to the edge of that paper, so now I have the entire pattern here. But now I'm totally out of pattern paper, and that's not nice. I'll need to go and get some more. When? Probably not tomorrow. I'm not sure when, but I need to get more of that. So now I have both patterns, and the next step is to check what needs to be done. At least the waist needs adjusting as usual. This is size 40, and size 40 has 6 centimeters too little on the waist, so I'll need to add that. And for the vest I also need to check the length of the back, so from neck to waist, and see how much off that will be. And of course I'll be adding seam allowances to these patterns. These are the main parts of the vest, and the only thing that I thought required changing was the waist. I was going to add 6 centimeters to it, and you can see here I was changing the side seam here, and then let's see here, and then I started thinking that this is a fairly loose model, it's loose fitting, so probably there is no need to make any changes, so I just decided to add the seam allowances to the original side seam and make this as it is in the original pattern. It should be fine. It'll be a bit more tightly fitting than what it's supposed to be, but there's still 16 centimeters in addition to the waist measure. So my waist is 80 centimeters and I measured the pattern and the waist is 96, so that's 16 centimeters, that's loose enough. So it's always easier if you don't need to change the pattern at all. So this is how I'm going to make this vest whenever I'll get into it. I have all sorts of other things that need to be finished before making this, and I don't even have suitable fabric for this yet. I'll need to think about that, what kind of fabric I want to use, and if there are any other changes I may want to make to the pattern, but well, that can wait. Here are the pieces for the pants, and I don't think I need to change anything at this point. The length seems fine, and the waist, well, I measured it and it looks like it's going to be okay, but if not, I can always remove those dots. This is on the back, so there will be 2 darts, and if the waist isn't big enough for me, I can just leave those out. So the thing I'm going to do is I'll sew all the seams, the vertical seams, and then try the pants on, and then I can see if the waist is okay or if I need to put some dots in there, and I can also check the length just to be sure it's okay. I've left 2 centimeter seam allowances there, but I can change those if needed. Just turn the hem in a bit more, or maybe even cut off some fabric. That remains to be seen. Oh, and one thing I realized while I was copying this pattern is that the instructions I was looking at, they weren't for this pattern. They were for another pattern with the same name but different number. So these are much more simple. It's just sewing the vertical seams and then making the waist and adding a zipper and turning the seam allowances here. So no need for any long instructions. Actually, I don't really need instructions for something like this, because this is simple. Basically, simplest trouser pattern you can have, and the only thing different here is that these are so wide that they will almost look like a skirt. I haven't got any fabric for these either. Well, I do have some fabrics that I may be able to use for these, but I need to check on that. So this video is just about the patterns, and I'll be making these at some later point. But there is one thing I forgot to mention about the copying of the patterns, so I'll take a look into that now. So the thing I forgot to mention is how to find the pattern pieces on that sheet. And the way it happens is, first of all, you check blue pattern lines, pattern pieces 1 to 8, and then when you go here, you just check. They are up there on the other edge. Here, 3 and 4. So you look at the numbers, the color mentioned and the number mentioned at the edge of the pattern sheet, and then you just go straight down, and here is 4. So it's the line, the number and the line touch each other, so you know this is the line number 4, and then you just start going in either direction and copy the entire pattern. And here is the 3. This is another piece you need, so you just do the same, and when you follow the line you get the entire piece. And if you have trouble seeing through the pattern paper, just lift it and check what's underneath, what the pattern looks like, and then try to continue again. And remember to transfer any markings the pattern piece may have, and those you can see here. You see that there are these tiny lines here and all sorts of markings, and you just copy them as they are shown in here, and then the instructions will let you know what they are and how they affect putting the garment together.